you guys ready to hit some other people? And you guys have done a pretty good job of taking care of each other. Haven't been any egregious things out there that I've seen, but are they ready to like kind of fire off the ball and hit somebody?
Yeah, I think so. You know, we're in, what week is it? 3 weeks now? You kind of lose track of time a little bit, but are a solid 2 weeks into this thing, and yeah, it'll be nice this week with the first preseason game. You know, give us a good chance to see a lot of our guys go out there and compete, but and then going into next week, it'll be fun to get to practice versus another team.
Hey Matt, what do you think you have an inside linebacker behind Chris and Devondre?
Well, I think that's a spot, again, that's got a lot of competition. I think Ty and OB are doing a really nice job. Scuda is in there, Ray Wilborn. You know, it's tough. Kamal's out right now, but I do think there's some young players that are competing for an opportunity to contribute in that room. And not only in that room, but we also need those guys to be big players on special teams for us.
Yeah, Ty and Oren have been special teams guys for you, but do they have to take another step, though, in their development as far as defense?
Yeah, you know, I think they have been. So we are excited to see them go out there and compete, and you know, this weekend versus the Texans. But those guys have definitely been major players on special teams for us.
Matt, can you compare and contrast the flow of camp last year versus this year? Obviously, you're ramping up for these preseason games, whereas last year you just get in a flow with practices. Are there pros and cons to each, or is this the preferred method no matter?
Yeah, I definitely think there's pro and cons to each, because last year it was really nice to get into a rhythm of where we basically practice 3 days in a row and then we take a day off, and then you get back into that rhythm, and then we had those mock kind of games that we would do in the stadium, but I do think there's so many benefits with the preseason games where those guys are just seeing different looks for the first time maybe, and just, you know, these guys get sick of, like Aaron said earlier, they get sick of hitting each other. So just, yeah, but there's good and bad to both.
Matt, getting back to special teams for a minute, what exactly are you looking for in this first live action from the special teams when they get out there Saturday night?
Just guys going out down and trying to make plays on the football, shedding blocks, playing fast, playing aggressive. I don't think we're going to be overly difficult really on teams in terms of schematically, and it's going to be pretty vanilla. That's typically how everybody does it, you know, within the National Football League. So it's just more or less watching guys go compete and run down there and try to make a play on the ball.
Matt, are you more apt to, you know, give groups of guys, let's say at skill positions, you know, an entire series, or do you want to run personnel groupings to see how that's going in and out on second or third down or whatever?
It's going to be all of that. It's going to be just because you always want to see from an offensive perspective just the procedure. You want to make sure guys are communicating when they're running into the huddle, how we break the huddle, how we get up to the line of scrimmage, how we motion, and also just, I mean, that's real football. That's how we operate anyways from an offensive system, is multiple personnel groupings. And then defensively, we're the same way. We can be multiple. You probably won't see it quite as many from a defensive perspective throughout the course of the preseason, but it's still good to, it's more than anything else, just you want to see guys compete and try to evaluate them and their skill set and how they can contribute to our football team come the regular season.
Matt, this will be your first national anthem of the season. You guys obviously stayed in the locker room throughout last season. Has there been any discussion or expectation on how you guys will handle that this year?
Yeah, we kind of talked to the team about the discussion that's right in front of us, but we have not come to any conclusion as of this moment.
Matt, how do you think Patrick Taylor's looked, you know, after kind of the redshirt year coming back and, you know, kind of getting his feet under him again?
Yeah, I think that he's done some nice things. You know, he's a big back that has really good hands, and they did a nice job at Memphis using him. I remember going back to, I want to say it was their bowl game, his last year there, and or maybe it was a game versus Ole Miss or whoever they were playing. And you watched him run like what we call a through route. So it's like a deep route over the middle, and I mean, he plucks the ball effortlessly, and he's a big back, and he's extremely intelligent. I think you should see his notebook. It's as good as some of our quarterbacks. So he does such a great job, and he's really in tune to what we're, trying to get accomplished and the whys behind it. And so I'm excited for him. I think he's another guy that can help us in pass protection as well.
So
The
Matt,
NFL came out with its video on rules changes and emphases this year. What rules change or emphasis do you think will have the biggest impact this season?
Without a doubt, the cup blocking rule. That's going to be it's going to be different for a lot of guys, because typically in the past when we've ran screens or you're teaching your linemen to throw downfield against the DBs, when they get to the second level, it's going to have an impact on the defensive backs when we run what we call our transportation series, where you're pulling linemen and their ability to come up, and a lot of guys would set an edge by knifing the linemen and try to take their legs out. And so those guys are going to have to fit up on them high now. So it is definitely going to be a disadvantage, but it kind of goes both ways.
Now, was that a fair shot that Arthur took at you yesterday, or is it less than an hour?
I'm surprised it's taken this long for somebody to ask that question. Well, I'm honored that he would think of me, first of all. But, Arthur and I did share a locker room together in Tennessee. So, yeah, I might have been looking in the mirror, getting my clothes right, while he was trying to get his hair right with that Just for Men. You guys know he's younger than me, right? So, but, Arthur's a great friend of mine.
When it comes to competition for that number 3 running back spot, what specifically are you looking for Saturday, and what kind of sets one apart from the other for the guys that are in the mix for that?
Well, I think there's multiple levels to that answer in terms of, first and foremost, you want a quality running back that can go out there and execute your run scheme, whether it's our zone system, our gap schemes. I think the protection piece is going to be a big part of that. And then just the contributions on special teams, because the reality is whoever our third is, it's going to have to be a player for us on teams.
Have you been able to identify anybody that may be an up-and-comer on teams, or is that something you just got to see when it's live? You're not able to really see it with what practice you've done so far?
I think we have some ideas, but until you really get out there and go live, full combat, it's tough to tell right now.
And I know A.J. Dillon's one more established as the number 2 back right now, but what have you seen from him these couple of weeks, and how much do you expect him to play in the preseason?
Yeah, A.J. will suit up, and as far as his play time, I think we'll work through that, but he'll certainly be in there at least a series. It's not like he got a ton of reps last year. He did come on late in the season for us. He had a big game versus the Titans, but I think AJ is he's a really good runner. He's got deceptive speed. You see it in practice sometimes when we put him out of the backfield on some of the routes. He's got really good hands. He made a couple plays for us in the pass game a year ago. I remember that there's a flat route he caught on the left side and was able to stick his foot in the ground and go get like 20 yards. So I think he's come a long way in terms of pass protection. I think that is one of the hardest skills for young runners or young running backs to learn, is just the intricacies of that. And I think he's done a really nice job of that. So we're excited about what he could potentially bring to this football team.
All right, we're going to go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Yep, just one, Bill Weaver.
Hey, Matt, going back to Bob's question about the linebackers, what do you got with Andre Campbell, you think? This is, I think, the 4th consecutive year, obviously it's predates you to some extent, but that you guys have taken a flyer on a veteran guy. Is he maybe different than those other guys you brought in?
Well, Devondre's, you guys see him. He's a pretty good-looking specimen. He's tall and long and he can cover. He's got a great grasp of he's got great instincts first and foremost, which is, that's tough to coach. But he's really good in coverage as a zoning backer, reading the quarterback's eyes. When given the opportunities to pressure, he's very slippery. He can get skinny and get around linemen, and he's a great tackler. So I really am excited with the addition of Devondre, and just think that he's going to bring a different dynamic to our defense.